take on the darkness, stare down deceit. Murder in the headlines, justice in the beat. From cold case whispers to killers in disguise, we rip off the mask, expose all the lies. Facts like bullets reload and deliver. Truth cuts deep like a blade in a river. Corruption shakes when the mic goes live. We dig where others won't survive. James rolling through the smoke. Truth hits hard, no time for a joke. Deceit, murder, we name every name. No restraint, no shame, just flame. Locked on the case, we investigate.
This is 12 Gauge Investigative. Let's jump in.
12 Gauge Investigative, we make them bleed. No games, no censors, just truth. Justice is loud, and we're the sound. This is 12 Gauge Investigative.
Yeah, man. How's everybody doing again? My name is 12 Gauge, and this is my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. You know, I was flipping through this right quick because I do have an engagement at 8 o'clock. So I thought I'd get on here really quick. And I told the sub that I would get on here and update them on any kind of new news. And I saw this a while ago, so let's get to it.
Telling us all that her baby was snatched right away from her in a parking lot after she was hit on the back of the head and knocked unconscious. Okay? Apparently a stranger she couldn't even see. She stood in front of the TV cameras with the father next to her, and the two of them begged us to help find their baby. And there I was feeling so sad for them, right? God, who would do such a horrible thing? And imagine if that happened to me. And there I was, my heartstrings tugged right in half. Until people on the internet and even police lit up with doubt. People saying, this is starting to feel a lot like Susan Smith 2.0, right? Rebecca and Jake Harrow had really weird signals in their pleas to get us to help find their baby, return their baby to them. And again, I think we all had that feeling, right? I smell a rat, but I really feel bad for smelling a rat, because if there's no rat, I'm a monster. I have double victimized this poor mother who's lost her child, and that everybody thinks that she's the culprit. Double grief, right? I am very mindful of that. But Jake and Rebecca, I could not shake it. And I know a lot of you could not shake it, especially when the police started suggesting something ain't right here. Something is inconsistent. We weren't wrong. We weren't wrong, because just 1 week later, Jake and Rebecca Harrow have been arrested, not for lying to all of us, not for obstructing justice yet anyway, malice murder. That's what the charges are. No bond, malice murder. Let me start right from the beginning, get you up to speed on this. And by the way, if you want to see a previous video that
Okay, malice murder is the charge that the parents were arrested earlier. So obviously they had something to do with little Emmanuel's death. So that is awful. That is awful news. We were hoping that maybe he would be found, if he was abducted, he would be found alive and would be returned. But now, unfortunately, it's awful news.
I did on this case early on, we were all really, I don't know, we were all just a little uneasy about the Harrows interview on television. So I had a renowned body language expert, Scott Rouse, who has been trained by the US government and the military and the FBI. And he finds the red flags. He sees the body language. He sees the things we say without saying them. And so I went over this at length with Scott Rouse. I had him look at every aspect of Rebecca and Jake Harrow's television appeal. And boy, did he see some things. And here we are a week later. Maybe what he saw was real and right because they are behind bars. Malice murder, serious stuff. Okay, so I've linked it in the description so you can find it, but I just want to do some background here. It was Thursday night on August 14th, just before 8 p.m. in Yucaipa, California. According to the mother of the 7-month-old boy named Emmanuel, Rebecca Harrow said she left her husband and her family at a football game where their child was on the football field and drove to a sporting goods store called Big Five. She said she needed to buy a mouth guard for her stepson who was playing football. And she said,
How can people get away with lying not only to themselves, but get away to lying to millions of people once this news breaks that their child is missing? There's so many people that are advocates for finding missing children, and they're jumping on it as soon as they hear about it. And these two are acting like they're broken up. And now we hear they're charged with malice murder.
Before going into the store, she noticed that baby Emmanuel needed a diaper change. So she says she laid Emmanuel down in the car to do the diaper change when all of a sudden, from behind, she heard a stranger say the word hola and then got clobbered in the back of the head, blacked out, fell on the ground. And when she woke up, she said Emmanuel was gone. She had this black eye. Baby was nowhere to be seen. And immediately she says she looked all around the car, that she ran inside the Big Five store, that she yelled her baby's name, which I said, okay, your baby's 7 months old. If you yell the name of your 7-month-old, your 7-month-old is probably not going to yell back. We yell for toddlers. We don't usually yell for babies in car seats, but okay, whatever. She started asking employees in the Big Five store, she said, if anybody had seen the baby. No answer, no, to no avail at all, obviously, right? Nobody'd seen anything. So then Rebecca says she dialed 911 and that deputies raced to the scene. They brought in the canine units. They canvassed the neighborhood. They called in specialized investigators, but it was not long before there were problems in this investigation. Rebecca couldn't describe her attacker. She did not know how the so-called attacker got away. And the parking lot, bizarrely in this day and age, had no surveillance cameras that could see what happened or verify Rebecca's story of changing the diaper in the car and the hit to the head and the falling on the pavement and then boom, baby gone. Okay, so this meant no suspect.
See, if you were in here earlier, you heard me say I didn't agree with the hit to the head because there would have been or should have been a laceration or some kind of break in the hairline that would have indicated this person got struck from behind. She had a bruise right here, but that was it. That was it. And she passes out and wakes up and the baby's gone.
Description, no car, and that means no Amber Alert. You've got to have a license plate. You've got to have a car.
Yeah.
So this one did not qualify for an Amber Alert, but the police
That's
said they
true.
put out their own digital flyer to help find this baby. And the very next day, that's when Rebecca and Jake Harrow went on TV, right? She was bruised. She was shaken. Her voice was shaking. She was begging and pleading for her baby, but there were no tears, even though she seemed to be crying through the entire appeal. Not one tear, not one red swollen eye, right? And the strangest kind of like guttural hyperventilating, not the kind that makes you ugly cry. It was, I don't know, it seemed more like an act, right? Jake stood next to her.
Yeah, because the reason they didn't call the Amber Alert, they didn't have a description of anybody that took them, they didn't have a description of the vehicle, they didn't have the license plate, none of that. You know, and what were they going to say? You know what I mean? So, just awful. Awful. Yeah, a bruise, a knot, or something.
Right? Saying the family has no enemies. And he seemed really angry, but not in a grieving dad kind of way, just a flash of anger. And it, again, just didn't quite look right. Spidey senses kick in, folks. Don't ignore them. Don't ever ignore them, especially if you're a woman, because Scott Rouse, with all of his expertise, body language expert, says women actually have more intuition about lying. We have more spidey senses about it. So anyway, take a look at this video, especially now in retrospect, knowing that these parents have been arrested. I think your blood will boil.
I fell on the floor and I said, as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I got him out of the car seat and I laid him down and so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, "Hola," and that's all I remember. And I saw white. And a hearing sound, I fell on the floor and I said, as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I checked all around my truck and I ran into Big Five and I asked the lady if she saw a baby or someone with a baby. She said no. It was a happy boy. He smiled.
Whoever took our son, please give him back.
So just days after Emmanuel was reported missing, the detectives admitted what many of us had already suspected, and that was that the story just was not holding up. There were, of course, the three glaring issues: no video coverage of the parking lot, no description of the attacker, and no explanation for how a supposed kidnapper just vanished into thin air.
Other creators have done stories on this case. I know that you've heard and seen. But if you weren't in here earlier, they did discuss the Big Five did have cameras, but they weren't working. And the store across the way was closed down. So therefore, those cameras were not on. So it's interesting to know how they figured all this stuff out. Wow.
Rebecca's stories weren't consistent, according to the police. And then came some very troubling developments. I mean, maybe the most troubling developments in this whole story. Police believed Rebecca's story was...
They had a 2-year-old Texas that was taken by CPS while they were investigating this disappearance. As far as I know, the cousin has custody of 2 other babies or 2 other children that they had removed, and the cousin has custody of those. Or maybe this is the second one, something of that nature.
Was full of errors and inconsistencies, and when investigators pressed her on them, she refused to take a polygraph test. The report was her husband wouldn't let her do it until they got a lawyer, but they stopped cooperating altogether. That's not normal. When you're trying to find your kid, you typically don't stop cooperating with the only agency that's really going to help you find your kid. Even if you think they're about to jail you, you go to jail forever, just find my kid, right? Desperation. They didn't seem to have it. So then another big red flag, a nonprofit group that usually joins missing children searches. It announced it was pulling back. It was kind of walking their way out of this one. They rescinded their reward and they said something just wasn't right. And then little baby Emmanuel's 2-year-old sibling was removed from the home. That was big. Behind the scenes, the detectives were moving pretty darn quickly. Search warrants were served at the Harrow home. Digital devices were seized. Surveillance video from nearby businesses collected, analyzed. Jake's background surfaced. Whoo-hoo! This wasn't just a little red flag. This was like, the flag with the hammer and sickle on it. I mean, this was huge. He had a prior conviction for child cruelty.
Right.
And that landed him in jail for 6 months and landed him on parole after that. And I'm going to get into more of that detail in just a moment, because it's not small, even though you think, well, 6 months, child cruelty is terrible, but it couldn't have been that bad if he only served 6 months. Holy shit.
Child cruelty, any crime against a child should be, in my opinion, it should be raised up to almost a felony. Because it's getting ridiculous how these individuals continue to hurt, kill, abuse these children, and act like it's no big deal. CPS is overworked here in Texas. They take children from families because they're drug addicted, all the above. they're just overworked, underpaid, and there's not enough places to put them. So I believe that the laws need to change in this regard.
It was unbearable. It was huge what he did. Like, it should have been a life sentence what he did. I do not know why he didn't get a life sentence, but wait for that detail. Still, the couple went on camera and they did the whole Susan Smithy thing, crying and hyperventilating and breathing hard. And yeah, I spoke with Jake Harrow's attorney live on my News Nation show, and he said that
it's San Bernardino County in California, some little town out in San Bernardino County.
Jake was offering to cooperate with the police, but the police put out a statement saying that the Harrows weren't cooperating. So that was a little like incongruous, right? Now, fast forward to Friday, August the 22nd, 8 days after baby Emmanuel was reported missing. The investigators moved in, and they didn't just tiptoe. They came in barrels loaded, right? All forward facing. The San Bernardino County deputies rolled into Cabazon, where Jake and Rebecca reside. They had a fleet of vehicles, tactical trucks, cruisers, armored units. It was Rebecca who was led out of the home first, and Jake Harrow followed shortly afterwards. We have some of the video to show you what it looked like in the morning. And don't know if they were expecting it or if they believed that they had, I don't know, sold the story well on, television interviews, but boom, there they were, let out. So both were booked into the Riverside County Jail. Both of them were formally charged with malice murder, and they're both being held without bail. So that evening, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office released a statement. Let me read it for you, shall I? Quote, numerous interviews have been conducted. Search warrants have been served. Digital and electronic evidence has been collected and closely analyzed. Based on the evidence, investigators determined a kidnapping in Yucaipa did not occur. It is believed Emmanuel is deceased, and the search to recover his remains is ongoing. That is devastating news, because they just don't believe that they're searching for a child anymore. They think they're searching for a body. And while police haven't released all of the evidence yet, it is clear that they felt they'd seen enough to swoop in to make the arrest and to act on this. And this wasn't the first time that children tied to this family had suffered unimaginable harm. This is your fair warning. I'm about to tell you some things that are reported now about 3 other Harrow children. Years earlier, Jake's daughter from a previous marriage, her name is now Promise. She's been renamed. Jake's daughter was hospitalized at the ripe young age of 10 weeks old. 10 weeks. That's basically as new.
That is terrible, man. That is terrible. I mean, I'm not trying to do the fake anger thing, but that is just awful. That dude needs his ass whooped.
Newborn as they get. The doctors documented the following: fractured ribs, a skull fracture, bleeding on the brain, swelling in the neck, and even a broken leg. Again, 10 weeks old. Little baby Promise was not expected to survive, but against all odds, she did. And Promise is now 7 years old, but she is blind. She is unable to walk. She is unable to speak. She is unable to swallow because of strangulation, and she requires constant care and likely will for the rest of her life. Her adoptive mother happens to be the cousin of Jake's ex-wife. And it was that adoptive mother that renamed her Promise Faith and calls her a medical miracle. But medical experts at the time told,
man, that dude should have been drugged through that cactus more than once. I agree with you, Texas. That is awful, man. Awful. Oh, man.
investigators that Promise's injuries were consistent with abuse and neglect. Abuse and neglect.
If you've been following the case of Emmanuel Harrow, the 7-month-old baby whose mother reported that he was kidnapped on Thursday, August 14th at a Big 5 retail store in Yucaipa, California, you are not ready for what I'm about to tell you. I think everybody knows by now that his father, Jake, was convicted in 2023 of willful child cruelty from a 2018 charge involving his 10-week-old daughter. Well, this is that daughter. So look, it says here on October 13th, 2018, Haro and Avina, that was his wife at the time, their 10-week-old daughter was admitted to the hospital where she had an acute or new fractured rib, 6 ribs with healing fractures, a skull fracture, brain hemorrhage, swelling of the neck, and a fractured leg bone that was healing. He blamed Vanessa for the baby's injury.
See, that is bull. That is almost borderline murder. I mean, cruelty? That is cruelty to a child. When you have healing fracture, the skull fracture, brain hemorrhage, swelling of the neck, and fractured leg bone that was healing. Jesus.
And they were both arrested and charged. The baby girl ended up going to one of Vanessa's cousins who has her to this day. She actually ended up adopting her. Now, when she was born, Jake and Vanessa named her Carolina Rose, but after the cousin got her, she renamed her to Promise Faith. Promise turned 7 on July 31st, and let me tell you how Jake's
Aw.
beating has affected her life. As you can see, she has a tracheostomy tube, she's blind, she can't walk, she can't talk. The cousin said she has about 3% brain function left, and she's 100% dependent for all cares.
Oh my
Now, I
God.
was informed that Vanessa did drink while she was pregnant with her, but despite that, she was born healthy. She didn't have any problems until she was beaten.
And let's not forget the charge and the conviction based on baby Promise was cruelty to children. Cruelty.
No,
I
man.
mean, I feel like that should have been attempted murder,
Of
given
course.
the circumstance that this poor child was left in for the rest of her life. However, he served his 6 months. He was on parole, and he's already got parole issues for which he was supposed to be in court this September. Violations. Okay, so there is another child. That's Promise's older brother. When he was born, he was named Jake Jr. But that same cousin took him in as well. She says he was born with fetal alcohol syndrome. So she took over, adopted this boy, and she renamed him as well.
I don't know the answer to that, Lucy, but that is just terrible to let that kind of individual out. And now he's already got parole issues as well. I mean, like we say all the time in this channel, and we get a lot of slack for it. You know, people don't change that quickly. They don't change that quickly. If they've done it once, more often than not, it becomes a pattern and they're going to do it again. And a lot of people give a lot of slack to us on this channel because we believe this way. And now here's another case that shows you that that's not far from the truth.
Name apparently is Carlos now. And as if having to adopt 2 children isn't enough, that third child now living in that same cousin's home is that 2-year-old who was removed from the Harrows home shortly after the story of baby Emmanuel going missing broke. And of course, right after police started to think there were inconsistencies and something fishy. That 2-year-old was removed from the Harrow home and is in that cousin's home. So cousin now has 3 of Jake Harrow's babies.
3.
And again, it's Jake's ex-wife's cousin. As of this recording, Rebecca and Jake Harrow are both sitting in jail, both charged with malice murder for the death of their infant son, Emmanuel. His body hasn't been found, but deputies say they continue to search. They're even combing through barns near the family's home. They say there are no other suspects in this story right now. And investigators say this case is centered on the parents. Close to 100 people came together on Friday night for a candlelight vigil for baby Emmanuel Harrow, just hours after his parents were arrested outside of their Cabazon home.
I mean, to see all these people coming out and all the attention they're getting, that in itself is one of the things that we always hear about in the criminal aspect, that sometimes the perpetrator is getting a rush from this exposure.
So if you are angry, seething, totally understandable. There is nothing quite like having your chain yanked from one end of the emotional spectrum all the way to the other. The first end is absolute sympathy and terror for a parent who's lost a child, even
Right.
for 5 minutes. It is so traumatizing if you can't find your child.
Right.
But imagine having yourself hit over the head and your baby stolen. You can't even come up with a description because you didn't see the guy. That's the emotion we would all pour out. Almost every one of us would pour our hearts out. We would join search parties. We would try to find that mother's missing baby, right?
You're true.
I don't know how long that one lasted, that emotion, but slowly that chain got yanked to the other side of that emotional spectrum. And now you want to kill her, right? You pulled us all through this.
Bullshit.
When police say you're the one who murdered this boy,
Yeah.
you yanked our chain all the way through your shit. It's the Susan Smith outrage. Susan Smith did her killings 30 years ago and we're not over it. She's still one of the most notorious child killers out there because she yanked our emotional chains. Her lies were exquisite. She even yanked racism into it because
I don't know the Susan Smith case. I should. Is that the mom that drowned her babies because she was having an affair with somebody and he wanted no children? Is that Susan Smith or is that other one?
why not, right? Black man carjacked my babies. Not just some man, had to be black man because
Okay.
Susan Smith.
Okay.
So here's Jake and Rebecca
Hey, Bullet.
whining and crying their crocodile tears, begging us to help them find Emmanuel. Where if the police are right, you sons of bitches, how dare you? Okay, so what we have here is something that began as a frantic search for a missing baby, ending with something so much darker. A 7-month-old baby boy believed to be dead, his remains somewhere. And the very people who begged for his return now charged with his murder. There are more developments coming on this one. You just know it. For starters, I think there's going to be a few more charges too, like obstruction. How about that one? Yeah. Lying to authorities. There's a good one. Wait for it. Dribs and drabs. And maybe even they will find baby Emmanuel. And if they do, the case gets even stronger. I'm Ashley Banfield. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And remember one thing, the truth isn't just serious. It is drop dead serious. Hey, everybody. I'm
Okay. I'm about to show you another creator that discusses a lot of evidence that's been surfaced. This dude's really good. I talked to him about the case here in Texas about the little girl that got raped and killed under the overpass. And God, I can't even remember. Houston, I believe. Um, his name is Dynamic Reason Channel. He has some updates on his channel to say he has some details. So let's see what kind of breaking evidence he has to share. This is disgusting. This is disgusting to say the least. You know, to fill people's minds up with the fake story, and then all of a sudden it all crumbles. And let's hear what he has to say.
I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. You're a returning subscriber as always, guys. Welcome back. And I do appreciate the support. Guys, listen. I want to get deep with you today and just talk to you, the audience, as if we are family, but as if I'm right in front of you guys. And I just want to be honest with you. I've done a lot of stories, you know, that deal with children getting injured and taken out of here by their parents. But this story right here, just the whole background of it, and then the information that's coming out, and I got more information that's trickling out that I just found out about, and it don't make this story no worse. This story right here is getting international attention. Story about this little boy up here. Emmanuel Haro. excuse me, 7-month-old little boy that already had the deck stacked against him with having a disability and, you know, needing attention. This little boy is gone, presumed dead by the police. By his parents. These two people you see over here, Jake and Rebecca Harrow, the parents. Now, I gave you a whole slew of information yesterday as these people were arrested early in the morning from their Cabazon, California house. And more information has come out as far as the evidence that led up to them running in there like they were drug dealers and raiding the house early in the morning to make sure they got both of them so they couldn't escape. Both the lie they told and the horrendous, heinous crime they're being charged with, malice murder for killing their own baby. This bothered me so much last night. I went to bed and I couldn't get it out of my head. And most stories I do, well, all stories I do bother me, especially dealing with kids, because they don't ask to be here. But to have this done and then have these people try to still stick to a lie that has evaporated like mist into the atmosphere and everybody knows they're lying. For them to sit there, keep their mouth shut, and Jake Harrow, who they're saying is the one that killed the baby, police are saying now, his lawyer looks stupid when they arrest him yesterday, and they put cameras in the lawyer's face, and he's looking stupid.
Oh, wow. That is some stuff I've yet to hear, but if that is true, I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, with all the charges that he has in the past, you know, I wouldn't put it past him. I really wouldn't. So if he's the one that actually did it, it doesn't shock me one bit.
Walking away guilty until proven is, it shows you how stupid it is. This whole thing is. I don't even know why the justice system even plays patty cake with people as vile, sick, and sadistic as this. Look at that baby, y'all. Look at him. He can't hurt anybody.
Right.
He don't even look happy. Every picture they showed of him, he was not even smiling. You notice that? You don't see no pictures of this little boy smiling. The ones that are in circulation in the media. Everybody has pictures of a smiling baby, even if they're special needs. You still see the raw human emotion in a child because they're not hit with the weight of the world like the rest of us. And they deal with the cards they're dealt because they don't know nothing's wrong with them. They still experience emotion.
Right.
And here you got two people that had a gift and threw it down like diamonds in the sand. This is hurtful shit. It's hurtful. It's the same MO. This is what we talked about. This is what's out. What caused them to come to the house, right? And bust in there and get them after the DA's approval? They ran up in there. Substantial amount of blood on the floors, right? I guess they was trying to clean it up. They pulled bloody floorboards out of the house. So they tore the house, had to take pieces of the foundation of the house with them.
So there was a cleanup. If this guy is legit, and I don't know him to lie or fabricate anything for views. I've actually emailed him multiple times. Man, that is something. If they tried to clean it up, and that's how they found it in the floorboards, we know about that in another case. Obviously, there was no cleanup in that other case that we know of, and this one is a definite cleanup.
With blood on it for evidence. You know what's going to match? You know what's going to match? His DNA.
Yeah.
They're saying Jake killed the baby, which we all thought about and knew. We talked about that already.
Wow.
Jake killed the dad. Now, I want you to hear me on this. Before I get to the evidence, I'm going to just recap real quick. So Jake killed the baby, the father, right? Mother helping him cover it up. Now, this guy is an abuser. We already know that.
Yeah.
His lawyer got the nerve to get up there on camera and say, oh, well, he did the 6 months, because they were like, why would he get out? Why would they let him out after he did what he did to a 10-week-old baby some years ago, his own daughter, where he beat her so bad she got brain damage. She can't feed herself. She can't talk. She can't see. She's wheelchair bound, tracheotomy,
Yeah.
needs round the clock care. She's a prisoner in her own body.
Yes.
They said, why was this man allowed to come out here and speak? You know, like just be out here in public and even speak on a microphone saying somebody did something to his kid after he did something to a kid years ago. Criminals are stupid. They don't think. They asked him that.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. This individual that he's talking about, Jake is the dad, Rebecca's the mom. Jake was on there with a sign saying, missing kid, not missing infant, not missing baby, missing kid. And then the fake tears, the fake concern, all this. He didn't seem concerned one bit. I'm with you on this, brother.
Guess what his lawyer said? Oh, well, he did the 6 months, paid his debt to society. He went to a parenting class. It made him a better man. Yeah, look what the fuck happened now.
Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, look what's happening now. The justice system is stupid. They don't want to deal with this shit. And a lot of times they don't know how to. They need to start euthanizing these animals like the people that they are.
Yeah. They don't need to have
This is what I learned
for sure.
Late last night. He took bloody floorboards out the house as evidence. That's some of the evidence they took. They cut pieces of the floor out and took it. Hopefully the DNA can match this little boy. They said he was killed in the home. They have proof of it. Now he hasn't been found. They said, now I want you to pay attention. This is what the parents did. All of his clothes were thrown away. The boy ain't been missing but a week, according to what you say happened. They threw all his clothes away. They also took and threw away got rid of all his pictures as if he did not exist. Now I ask you, does that sound like somebody that's desperate for people to help them find their son?
Why would you throw away this poor baby's clothing, his pictures, to try to erase out of your mind the deviantness that you did to this child? So you wouldn't have to see his pictures everywhere. You threw them away. You got rid of the clothing. Man, this gets worse and worse. I swear.
They spoke in past tense. He was a happy baby. He was a good boy. The same day they're in front of the media saying that he was missing at that Big 5. Remember that? Now check this out. A lot of this has to do with the evidence, right? The electronic device evidence. They said they got substantial evidence on that. Cell phones, iPads, GPS, a lot of evidence they got that does not corroborate the story that these people told, the lie. So they got cell phone data and stuff on them. Surveillance footage from the camera across the street at a liquor store that was fixed right on her at that Big 5. The baby was never there.
Oh.
Baby was never there. And I said,
wow, we talked about that a while ago. If there was any canvassed cameras that could have caught whether she drove up, any of that stuff, he just said the baby was never there. They didn't see the baby at the football game either. So, to
you guys, I said, I'm almost sure that she sat in that car for a while to make it look like some event had happened. That she got up the car and probably ran frantic into place. The arraignment is coming up. I'm dying to see what the answers of why they're in court from the DA and the prosecutor of the information they got. Because this right here, what we're seeing right now, ladies and gentlemen, is the tip of the iceberg. This right here is sickening. You got not one parent arrested for lying about killing a kid, but two, a mother. He is 7 months old. A mother's protective. Even if she.
And I don't know how people could not have seen the escalation in this man's behavior, his actions. Man, he almost killed the little girl. How could they have let them have another child? How could they not have been monitoring this child more closely? I mean, I know they probably didn't have a CPS case, but I mean, come on. There had to be something in the law to change if that's not in there. to monitor these individuals that have past criminal acts such as that, where he almost killed a baby, a 10-month-old, where she can't feed herself, she's blind, she's confined to a wheelchair, has nothing she can do for herself, and then they have another child. It's almost like they were playing God or something, you know? It's like these children weren't. They're perfect children, so we're gonna erase them off the planet. Terrible. Terrible. 10 weeks old. I'm sorry. Yeah, 10 weeks old. You're right.
Can't protect herself from a monster. She will sacrifice self to save her babies. But they both got the same charges. And they're going to put the squeeze on her because they already took one of her babies away. A lot of times we ask ourselves, how can a woman get wrapped up with a dude like this? It's always a connection between people, be it positive or negative. Part of him is in her. There you have a union. She pushed 2 babies out for this piece of shit, and now she's keeping her mouth shut. Mom's the word. Dead baby gone. Didn't feel nothing taking the pictures out the house or the clothing. You ain't think you was going to get caught? I want you to think about that, y'all. This is the mindset of these people that was running around society having you think they were nice people. Getting on TV when everybody's heart to pour out for them. They got people praying on the mom, the dumbass mouse on her eye, all this shit, and you knew that baby been gone. See,
supposedly a week and a half was the last time somebody had seen the baby. The baby wasn't even at a funeral with the parents. The baby wasn't at the football game, supposedly. Hey, people coming into the chat, thank you so much for being here. The baby wasn't, Emmanuel wasn't even at the football game. Nobody saw him at the football game. Nobody saw him at the funeral a week and a half prior to this. So that baby was gone. And like he just said, they were throwing away his clothes, throwing away the pictures. Wow. Awful human being.
They saying baby Emmanuel been dead for a while. They said the family supposedly hasn't seen him in a month. Before this.
A month.
Before this. What you think about that? Now people might say, hey, well, why you don't see, how can they not see him? You know how it is when you live your own life and you live in your own house and all this other stuff. You know, family don't come around anymore. Everybody's living their own lives, so that's possible. But the thing that's messed up is, man, this guy has a history of doing stuff that should have got him put away a long time ago. But for some legal loophole and all this other shit, he found daylight and he put his own son into permanent darkness. After killing one baby and losing your mind and getting a break from the state, you would think you would feel that tension building up where that demon want to come out and out of your frustrations and stuff like that.
I think this individual named Stephen, like he said, Stephen stated, he had to take a parenting class. That's all he had to take, a parenting class. I used to give parenting classes. Those parenting classes are nothing more than going through the very basic fundamentals of being a father, a mother, you know, how to raise your child, how to do the positive things and not overreact and stuff. This dude had a history. So he should have been monitored a lot closer than the average CPS case. In my opinion, that's how that should have happened.
And as a man, and you don't want to do that, make that mistake again with a child you got. But he didn't. It's who he is. And part of him is who she is, and that's why she's locked up too. They look like dumbasses coming out of that house.
His channel is called the Dynamic Reason channel. Please go over there and subscribe and like his videos. Steven is an awesome guy.
She didn't even look like the same chick. I was like, that's her? She didn't look like the same woman that was in front of Big Five crying. And everybody patting her on the back and rubbing her head, sitting up there, fake tears, fake shaking. What kind of mother is not inconsolable after a baby is snatched from her arms after she got mollywopped at a place by a stranger? Said it was no stranger on the video cam. Huh? But no stranger. Soon as she heard that, she shut up. We're going to get you a polygraph. I know you're not. We're not going to talk to you guys no more. You're not helping us. Up, get a lawyer. And I want you to remember, they got 2 different lawyers.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah,
different
they do.
lawyers. What does that tell you? They're going to have 2 different defenses. I already knew when they got 2 different lawyers. I'm like, somebody did something. The other one didn't do it. Their charges is going to be different. But for now, they both got the same charge because they don't know who killed the baby. But they're saying they think it was Jake. And that tells you if they put that out.
Well, let me ask you, Chad, which one of the parents do you believe killed the baby? Do you believe it was Jake or do you believe it was Rebecca? Put your answer in the chat. Let me know what you think. Man, this is some stuff right here. I didn't believe that it was going to go this quick.
In the media where they're blaming him and don't know who did it, that tells you what? They're going to come at her. They're going to come at her. I'm going to be interested to see if they go to court today because, people go to court on weekends now. It's Saturday morning. I'm interested to see if she goes to court. I mean, what's said in court of how they got to that point with them standing in front of a judge. I'm telling you, the evidence that comes out is going to be shocking because this right here of what we heard, all of this stuff is the tip of the iceberg. And this is as bad as it gets. Take a look at some of this video footage I got with more information that you guys might find interesting. And I will see you in the next video. Take care. I appreciate you guys, man. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I still got my more.
Yeah, y'all be sure to go over there and subscribe and like if you haven't already. He put out some good stuff. Like I said, I found him on a case and I liked how he covered it. He had boots on the ground with it. So let's see what he has on his channel.
Voice. I haven't slept well. Look, I'm drinking coffee this morning. I don't even drink coffee. Dealing with this. So, guys, enjoy. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.
Developing tonight, 1 week after little Emmanuel Haro disappeared in Yucaipa, San Bernardino County Sheriff deputies arrested his parents today for his murder. A Cabazon residents holding a vigil in honor.
His channel is called the Dynamic Reason Channel. I know that y'all can't copy and paste out of Discord, but at least you'll see the link.
Of the 7-month-old boy presumed dead tonight.
And as KCAL's Nicole Comstock reports, investigators continue the search for his body.
Many people who've been watching this story unfold tell us they had a gut feeling from the very beginning that something very bad happened to this little boy and that maybe his parents had something to do with it. And so there are a lot of people who are very invested in Emmanuel's story. Dozens came out here tonight to hold a candlelight vigil for him near the home where earlier today, both of his parents were arrested for murder.
I don't know what people get in their head just to hurt the baby. Like,
wow.
It's just so sad.
Tears from strangers for a baby they never even knew. Tonight, community members organized a candlelight vigil at the home of 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro, who investigators now say was murdered by his own parents.
I had 2 miscarriages. When I had those, it broke my heart. So to see that somebody was able to hurt this little boy, it's not okay.
Earlier this morning, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department showed up at the home in Cabazon with an armored vehicle to arrest Emmanuel's parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro. This after a week-long investigation into their claim that Rebecca was knocked unconscious before their baby was kidnapped during a diaper change in a Yucaipa parking lot last week. Investigators now say they have evidence proving that alleged kidnapping did not occur.
If you didn't hear Steven say, there was footage from a liquor store that caught, Rebecca going into the Big Five. Baby Emmanuel wasn't even with her.
And that baby Emmanuel is likely dead. Moving forward, they're focused on finding his remains.
Bring him back, please.
Within days of the kidnapping story, investigators publicly announced there were inconsistencies in Rebecca's statements.
It made my heart drop because then it's like, okay, now it's completely off of what was said, what really happened.
And many who watched the couple's initial media interviews say they didn't ring true.
I didn't really believe it.
just from the get-go. The mom, just you could tell.
How Rebecca said she couldn't turn around to see what the kidnapper looked like, but was somehow punched in her eye. How she
A lot of you moms in here, or if you've been a mom, if you haven't been a mom, you know, you have that womanly instinct, all right? You have a new 7-week-old baby, okay? You get hit in the head, you're telling me that no matter how hard that hit is, you're not going to fight. Your adrenaline is not going to kick in, and you're going to try to stay conscious to protect that child. I've heard of women running into homes that were burning with fire. I've heard of women, picking their car up to save their kids, stuff like that. So you tell me this woman, as a mother, she wouldn't have done what she could to protect that little baby if that story would have been true. If that story would have been true.
She sounded like she was hyperventilating on camera.
I got up off the floor and I didn't see my child. Someone took him from me.
But many noticed there were no tears.
Yeah, those were crocodile tears.
The Haros also said their baby was always happy and smiling, but many think the photos they shared in an attempt to find him didn't reflect that.
No,
As
they
people
didn't.
all around the world mourn the
It
loss
looks
of this
sad.
innocent infant, those gathering here are praying that justice is served.
I love that everybody's here and able to be his voice because he don't have one.
Court records indicate that both of the Haros have been booked into the Riverside County Jail for murder with malice with no bail, and they are scheduled to appear in court for the first time on Tuesday. Another thing, we reported earlier this week that the baby's father, Jake, was previously convicted of willful cruelty against a child for a different case involving another one of his children. And while his attorney says he did his time for that, he completed parenting classes, and he believes he was a changed man, many people out here say they think the system failed Emmanuel and should have done much more
I
to keep Jake away
agree.
from children.
I agree
Reporting in
100%.
Cabazon, Nicole Comstock, KCAL News.
And there is more news that is still emerging about this case, even at this hour. Here to take us through all of the latest developments, we've got true crime reporter Annie Elise, who hosts the podcast Seriously with Annie Elise. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Annie. First of all, do you know anything more about exactly what happened when the Haros were arrested today?
Hi, Brian. Good to see you. No, so as far as the information, about 30 minutes ago, it was released that Jake has too been charged with murder with malice. In terms of the arrest itself, it's my understanding that law enforcement came out in droves and around 7 a.m. this morning, coming up, approaching the house, and booked them and took them into custody around 7:45 a.m. Shortly after that, it was chaotic on the scene. Media was showing up, bystanders were showing up, and that's when they started doing the search of the property. They blocked off the streets, put the crime scene tape up. To your point, they started looking all around the scene. They were dumping out garbage bins, going through the trash, searching that shed that was also adjacent to the property. And it's my understanding they also had been removing some floorboards from inside the house that potentially had blood on them.
That's terrible.
Oh, that's just terrible, Annie. I'm looking at the video here. We can see they had the SWAT team out there, and there he is being taken out in the handcuffs. Wow. What do you make of where baby Emmanuel is? I mean, obviously we're all holding on to hope, but is there any new information about where he might be?
Unfortunately, at this point, because there has not been a family member who has said they have had eyes on him in the last month now, I think that it can be a very broad search. And Cabazon and the whole area down there, it's desert. It's so much landscape. It's vast. It's so much dirt that he could be anywhere. And if somebody hasn't laid eyes on him in weeks, that gave them much longer of a lead time to dispose of evidence of his body, to drive somewhere far. So I think this may end up being a tough search, although I'm hopeful that they were reckless enough with their digital footprint that they will be able to find him soon.
It was interesting. Police.
See, I didn't know it was a month. I thought it was a week and a half, because that's what the last report said that I showed earlier with Vinnie Politan. They said it was a week and a half, but I didn't know it was a month. How can nobody see you with your baby? 7 weeks, you just gave birth. wouldn't people be asking about your child? Where's your baby? Where's your baby been? How's your baby?
Said that they gathered digital and electronic evidence. Do we have any idea what that is?
He haven't said specifically, but it's my understanding based on the statement they put out and locals who were talking that they looked through their devices, which we also know Jake Harrow's attorney said they willingly passed those over. They
Right.
looked through different electronics at the house. I would imagine also looking through potential GPSs in the vehicles. So while it hasn't been stated exactly what they found, they did say that some of that digital evidence is what led them to getting the arrest warrant.
And when it comes to the surveillance footage, there are now these reports of Rebecca with a black eye before she reported the baby missing. What does that mean, do you think?
So there's a few different reports that she
Did
was
you hear that? She supposedly had the black eye before the baby went missing.
seen with this black eye as early as August 3rd. She also attended a family member's funeral not too long ago, to which this is the footage that a lot of people are looking at and dissecting, where it appears she may have had a black eye and covered it up with makeup. But I do think that out of all of the surveillance footage that people are talking about, the most interesting piece of it is the footage that was reportedly captured from the liquor store across from the Big Five. And we know that there was footage because, again, Jake's attorney yesterday spoke out saying they saw the footage. Rebecca and Jake were shown the footage. And when confronted with, okay, well, what was seen? His response was that it corroborates Rebecca's story, that she fell to the ground. But what's interesting is there was no mention of the baby being seen in that footage, no mention of a second person being seen in that footage approaching Rebecca. So because that was announced and released yesterday, I'm curious if that ended up painting them into a corner as well and just being more evidence against them.
Do you think, Annie, that anyone else knew about this? If it's true that they hurt or even killed the baby, do you think there could be anyone else involved?
I think that it would be difficult for other family members not to know what was going on, because again, if nobody had seen him in weeks, and if the older siblings who reportedly were with him that very day of this kidnapping hoax didn't see him, I would imagine maybe they didn't know the extent of what was going on, and there may have been excuses for his absence. But I would imagine that there was some family intel happening. And not to mention these charges, we're talking murder with malice. That isn't something that is accidental or anything that was, a lesser charge, even such as manslaughter. This means that this was intentional or with reckless disregard for human life. It is a very serious murder charge.
Yes, indeed it is. You guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. If you're watching on replay, please make sure you subscribe. Like if you enjoyed what I just presented. I am going to keep going with this case because I am interested in knowing more about the family, knowing more about Jake, and continue to see exactly what kind of evidence and information comes out. So if you've never been here before, please like, subscribe, and share. And come on back. Tell your people this is a good place to chat. We have kind moderators and we have kind chatters. So y'all make sure to go subscribe to, let me see what his channel's called again. Good grief. I turned it off so I can't think out of the. Can someone type that in the chat? I can't remember what his channel's called. Here it is. The Dynamic Reason channel. Go subscribe to the Dynamic Reason channel and let us know. Let us know if you find out any more information. Thank you for that, Firefly, and thank you, Michael, for that little bit of information. Jake's brother was found dead in his home in 2021. Thank you, Jeremiah, for being here. So yes, we don't use capital letters. We let people We let people have their own opinion. And just come on back. I'm sure you'll enjoy the channel. If you are a member of my Discord, we're going to go start streaming the series U. I was going to do Dexter, but for some reason I thought I had the premium and I don't. So I need to update my subscription. But if you are a member of my Discord, please head on over. We're going to start streaming the psychological thriller U. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please come back because we will be keeping an eye on this case. And hopefully they're transparent with what they find, because we need more information for other people who could potentially be these types of individuals that need to be monitored with these small children. It is getting so ridiculous out there with individuals hurting children and all the such. So y'all have I'm currently not monetized, so I don't have a membership button. If you just subscribe, that'd be good enough for me. Thank you so much for that, Callie. Good to see you, Bullets. So, as I always say, Maestro, cue that music.